Hi, thanks again for joining me for Realtor Reels. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about mold in Colorado and my experiences with that as a homeowner and as a agent. First thing I tell you is I'm not an industrial hygienist. I'm not an expert on mold by any stretch, but I do have experience with it and a certain level of expertise with it when it comes to that in real estate. So what I'd like to tell you about with my personal experience is that in 2013 our basement flooded right after we bought a house. We did have to rip out everything, including the studs in the basement. The mold cleanup itself actually was very, very simple, and I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about mold and the consequences of mold, especially in Colorado. We live in a dry climate. The cleanup for our house was really just consisted of bleach water. It wasn't that hard. We mopped the floor, and we mopped it a couple times because we're cautious, but we never had an issue with it after that. The other thing I tell you is it comes up on inspections a lot. In terms of inspections, it's usually very small amounts, showers, bathrooms, sinks that have leaked through ceilings into the floor below, that sort of thing. It's usually very remediable. They're either cutting out drywall or using a little bleach to clean up the mold, that sort of thing. Tends to work pretty well. It's not usually a major deal. If you're coming from a wet climate like the South or Seattle, Northwest, something like that, mold can definitely be more of an issue out there. But here, it's just, the climate is not conducive to a lot of mold growth. So when you do find mold, it's usually pretty remediable. Remediation, I've had to hire a professional remediation company for mold. It was to get a seller of mine through closing. She had quite a few leaks. She hadn't done a great job maintaining the house. And we did hire a professional company. He was almost apologetic for how much he had to charge us for as little as he had to clean up. But the truth of the matter is they have certain requirements when they're doing that as a company, and the minimum for that was like $1,500. It was money well spent. It got us through appraisal and got the house closed, and I would do it again if I had to, certainly would do it. The risks of mold, this is another important thing. The risks of mold for most people is little to nothing. For about 10% of the population, my understanding is there are mold allergies. I have mold allergies. They're not that uncommon. 10% is still a pretty high number. But life-threatening risk of mold is very low, especially for at least what we find in homes these days. I know there's been some stuff in the news in hospitals and things like that, but usually the stuff you're finding in homes is usually pretty easy to remediate in Colorado, and two, poses a pretty low health risk. I will include some tools on here, like there is definitely a great tool on the EPA website for mold cleanup. Once again, like I said, it's not very difficult in most cases to clean up mold yourself, as long as you're talking about small levels of it. For higher levels, you can always consult an industrial hygienist or something like that and pay the money to have it done right. I think that's all I have today, and thank you very much. You have a great day.